Today, we're looking at a story of absolute power, a system built on a foundation of fear, loyalty, and unwavering control. And this isn't just about politics, it's about the inner workings of a modern-day kingdom. Picture a dusty road in Nawabshah. This isn't a scene from a movie. This is real life. There's a convoy on the move, and it's more than just a line of cars. It is a statement, a rolling declaration of power that really sets the stage for everything we're about to uncover. So what does this convoy look like? 20 vehicles, packed with men whose faces are covered, but their weapons, their AK-47s are out for everyone to see. They're headed towards a specific piece of land that's supposed to be the subject of a court case. But it seems on this day, the verdict is going to be handed down right there on the ground, long before any judge gets a say. When the convoy gets there, villagers come out to meet them. I mean, they're defending land that's been in their families for generations. They try to talk, but the debate quickly turns ugly into shouting and abuses. And then, the shouting is silenced by the sound of gunfire. 6. When the smoke clears, that's the number of people who are dead. And one of them, a police inspector. You have to understand, this was not some random act of violence. This was a message, delivered with absolute, brutal clarity. Allegedly, by men with direct ties to one of the most powerful figures in the entire country, Asif Ali Zardari. So how does something like this even happen? You know, it's not just a single terrible event. It is the end result of a system, a political machine that's been carefully built over 17 years. A machine some people now call the Zardari Sultanate. To get it, you first have to understand the foundation it's all built on. In interior Sindh, politics really runs on a system of wadera, which means the feudal lords. For centuries, these incredibly powerful families have controlled their own territories. And you don't win votes there with promises of, building schools or roads. You win by handing out government jobs and using the power of the state as if it were your own. Now, Zardari didn't invent this system, but they say he perfected it. He learned how to manipulate it better than anyone before him. And this is the playbook for how it's done. Let's take a real-world example. The Mehor family, historically a major political opponent. The system allegedly finds a weak spot, an internal family feud. Then it empowers a more junior member of that family, giving them control over the local administration. All of a sudden, the family's actual elected leaders are made irrelevant, powerless. So what's their only way back? They have to bend the knee. They have to join the party. It is a masterful and completely ruthless way of neutralizing your opponents. But what about when a powerful family says no? What happens when they refuse to play the game, when they refuse to bend the knee? Well, the system has an answer for that, too. And that answer is swift, and it is suffocating. Take the Jhokio family. They consistently beat the People's Party in elections, and they turned down offers to join them. So what happened? The consequences were severe. Suddenly, a murder case is filed against a family leader. He's arrested. And then the charges get almost comical. They start piling on new cases for stealing a motorcycle, for stealing sacks of grain. The message is crystal clear. If you defy us, we will dismantle you, piece by agonizing piece. Now, this quote. This is about a man named Salamat Lako, and his story is, in some ways, even more chilling. See, he wasn't a feudal lord from some ancient dynasty. He was just a regular person who dared to run as an independent candidate. That's it. And for that single act of defiance, he became a political prisoner. And while he was in his cell, a plot was allegedly hatched to have him killed by other inmates with the help of a jail official. The whole thing was reportedly organized over WhatsApp. At one point, he was being transferred to a safer facility, but a last-minute phone call ordered his van to turn right back around and take him back to the very cell where the assassination was planned. The only reason he survived is because a couple of inspectors broke ranks and warned his family. Okay, so we've seen the price you pay for defiance. Now let's look at the other side of the coin, the reward for loyalty. And that reward is an iron shield. For those who pledge allegiance, it seems there are no consequences. Every crime is forgivable. The state itself becomes your personal bodyguard. And this brings us to the tragic story of Nazim Jhokio. He was just a man in his village who saw influential guests from the Gulf hunting rare, protected birds. He did what many of us might do today. He took out his phone and started filming. But the hosts of that hunt, they were powerful local landlords and key allies of the ruling party. So Nazim was summoned to the home of these powerful men, and what they saw as his crime was simply that he dared to complain. His own brother, who was with him, remembers one of the men asking, "Who is that scoundrel?" Think about that. To them, a citizen filming a potentially illegal act wasn't a concerned person. He was an enemy who had challenged their authority. According to his brother's testimony, Nazim was then taken into a separate room, and for an hour, the only thing his brother could hear were screams. By the next morning, Nazim Jhokio's body was found near the house. He had been beaten to death. And the contrast here is just staggering. On one hand, you have a prominent party leader tweeting their anger over the killing of stray dogs. At the very same time, that same party system was allegedly working overtime to protect one of the men accused in Nazim's murder. He had fled to Dubai but was flown back on a special flight, reportedly picked up from the runway in a minister's car and escorted to court just to get bail. Why? All so he could cast one crucial vote in a no-confidence motion. So what fuels this entire machine? What pays for the loyalty and funds the control? To get the answer, you just have to follow the money. And that trail leads directly to a massive scandal known as the fake accounts case. Get your head around this number. 42 billion rupees. We're talking hundreds of millions of dollars. A joint investigation team's report alleged that all of this money was moved through 32 fake bank accounts. Accounts opened in the names of people who had no clue they even existed, like an office boy or a sanitary worker who'd already passed away. And all of them were allegedly controlled by one single company, the Omni Group, which is known to be very closely linked to Zardari. And where did all that cash go? According to the report, it wasn't for business. It was allegedly used to pay for things like the Zardari family's utility bills, the construction of a relative's home, the import duties for 3 luxury cars, Zardari's helicopter trips, and the family's airline tickets. This wasn't just corruption. This was, allegedly, the fuel for the entire political machine, a private treasury for a personal kingdom. You know, a system this complex, one that depends so much on personal relationships, on fear, on these intricate backroom deals, it brings up a really big question. Can it actually outlast the man who built it? The heirs apparent, of course, are Zardari's children, Bilawal and Asifa, but the general agreement among analysts is that neither of them seems to have that unique and frankly ruthless skill set that you'd need to manage this incredible web of feudal lords, patronage, and coercion that their father has so completely mastered. And this quote just sums it up perfectly. The whole thing is built around one person. The powerful figures in Sindh aren't loyal to the party as an idea. They're loyal to or afraid of Zardari, the man. And without him, the thinking goes, the entire empire could become unstable. It could fracture into all the competing interests that it's currently holding together. Systems of power, whether it's here or anywhere else in the world, they thrive in silence. They rely on the idea that no one is watching, or that if they are watching, they're too afraid to speak up. If you believe stories like this must be told, like this video and subscribe to Mindscapes by Faizu, where forgotten truths come to light.